Radio Law Talk will roll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now.
The following is a live copyrighted presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for RadioLawTalk.com with your host, Frederick Penny, attorney at law. And now, RadioLawTalk.com.
I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, and Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fist.
Welcome to Radio Law Talk. I'm your host, Frederick Penny. It's going to be an interesting day today. We have the three boys. Denise is not with us, so I wonder how this is going to go. I hope it all goes well and everything's legal that we do today, because Denise is not here to keep us calm and under control. I got Todd Cunin to my left, Chris Rodriguez to my right. Welcome, young men.
Good morning.
Good morning, Fred.
By calm and under control, is that code word for keeping us in line?
That's the code word for Denise is not here, so you guys, you better step it up and chill out.
She's probably on a roof in her bikini, right? Isn't that the story she told last week?
2 weeks ago, and Todd is still wondering about that story.
You know what? I watched the YouTube video. I am in the know now. When you refer to rooftop bikini sunning...
With binoculars.
And, 60-year-old neighbors.
Denise Dirks.
Who would have thunk it?
Denise is not here. I can't tell her. I mean, she might be back today, tomorrow, but I know it's always has to do with where the sun is. But rumor has it she might call in, she might not. She says, I'm going to call in and talk to you guys, but I'm not putting my money on it. I think she's sitting by the beach somewhere and thinking, I'm not going to call in. But, hey, again, welcome. Thanks. Our producer, Cal Hunter, here. Also in the studio behind the glass is my son, Garrett Penny, and the call screener, Seth Madden. Good luck, Seth. He is taking the bar pretty soon, so he's studying for that bar. Whew.
No stress there.
Hey, guys, I noticed when we said, when I just said studying for the bar, both of you shuddered just a tad.
Yes.
Do you remember those days?
Oh, the worst. Literally the worst.
If any time there was, and we're going to talk about hazing, and we're going to talk about bullying, if there's any time there's hazing and bullying, it is during the bar.
Yes, it is. It's the state bar of every of the 50 states attempt to haze all of the incoming young recent graduates who want to be lawyers in their jurisdiction. It's their attempt to haze you.
That's right. In fact, Seth Madden just reminded us, I was driving back from my ranch yesterday, and Seth, as he's preparing for the bar, actually almost went off the road while he's driving because someone texted him, and he wasn't looking at it while he's texting. We read it for him. No. But here it is. This just came out. California bar examiners stripped of authority to determine the pass score on the state bar exam. So what was happening is the state bar sets the rules as to how high you have to score in order to pass. And California is the second highest. Delaware's number one, but it is the hardest to pass. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court thinks that there's a little bit of hanky-panky going on there, and they were going to wait for them to do a determination. And what they did is they changed their mind and said, nah, we're not going to wait for you. We're automatically going to jump in and say, you're gone. You're not in charge anymore, because the state bar used to be in charge of setting that. Now the Supreme Court's saying they're in charge, and what's going to happen is when they take the bar, the Supreme Court's going to look at it and determine what a proper score should be to pass the bar, and they're going to do it retroactively. So you take the bar, and then you got to do a X amount to pass for California, which is super high. They're going to turn around and go, we're going to lower it, and you people that wouldn't have normally passed are now going to pass. So guess what, guys? We'll have a lot more Radio Law Talk hosts we can choose from.
Well, here's a question I have. what if they decide retroactively that the bar should be higher than what it was? Are they going to retroactively go back and strip the bar cards from those that were just on the line and barely passed?
That would probably exclude the three of us. We just have to call this radio talk.
It'd be radio talk.
Yes. We no longer are members of the bar, but we will still talk.
Yes.
Well, I think the problem is anyone that drives around a car with the newspaper stand in the back, like Rodriguez, should not be a member of the bar anyway. So that's interesting.
Just to clarify, 17 years old, and when Denise was sunbathing on the roof, she was also a teenager, I believe.
That's exactly right.
The past is the past.
Well, let's talk about the past. Todd, some update on Nevada marijuana laws. Todd walked in. I guess I have to tell you some side notes, guys. Everybody out there listening. Todd walks in and said, "What are we've turned it into marijuana law talk?" Or
yes,
what?
we are the go-to source for all things marijuana update here on radiolawtalk.com. Nevada, and I wonder if this happened after prohibition was abolished way back in the day, but Nevada recently passed, like other states, the legalization of marijuana. So over the course of, I guess, a couple of weeks, marijuana went from being illegal to being the subject of a statewide emergency, as the governor declared it a state emergency because they ran out of marijuana.
That is an emergency. That is terrible.
Over 40,000 transactions for marijuana statewide depleted the marijuana stores and the dispensaries. And the bottleneck there is that under Nevada law, only companies with a liquor license can supply the dispensaries with the marijuana. And so because there was a backlog in these companies they had the liquor license, getting their license to supply the marijuana to the dispensaries, they ran out. And it makes me wonder if that happened after the end of Prohibition, alcohol went from being illegal to legal, and then they declare a national state of emergency because we don't have enough alcohol to supply the demand here.
Well, I heard up north near Red Bluff area they ran out also. I was Cal driving through that drive-through constantly.
That's right. And my real question when I heard that Nevada story was, so what's the emergency? Okay, you're out of weed, but what really? What? People are out on the street dying? That's an emergency.
All I got to say,
get that.
Opportunity cost, double the price.
I mean, if ever there was an indication by state action that marijuana was addictive, it would be the state emergency being declared because they ran out of pot.
Now, here's some interesting thing, though. I've looked at those articles that they're talking about it, and there are some people saying fake news because the state lawmakers are calling for an emergency regulation to the ration and supply, not an emergency, type of situation. But you call it what you may. It's still use the word emergency.
It's an emergency because if you're a student at University of Nevada, Reno, you can't get your marijuana today.
Well,
I mean, there's nobody to dispense it to you.
Well, and piggybacking on the state bar stuff,
they need a lot of it before that.
Every state, not just California, every state issues their bar exam at about the same time in the summer because part of it's a nationalized portion of the exam.
That's right.
And these folks are in need. They have to be able to come down from the stress and the, dare I say, hazing involved with the state bar.
Well, it's July 24th. I think the bar is the July 24th. So they usually need it 2 days after the bar. So I think they got plenty of time to get their supply going.
Well, they declared the emergency early just for those reasons.
That's exactly right. But that's an important thing to note is...
Seth is behind the glass saying, no, we need it before the bar.
That's exactly right.
Sorry, Seth. There you go. There you go.
I tell you right now, all I got to say is we're talking about bar, hazing. Now, what we're going to talk about when we come back, we're running out a little bit of time in this first segment. We're going to be talking about some Fan Duel stuff. We're going to talk about a interesting monkey picture. And I'm not talking about you, Rodriguez. But we'll be back to talk a little bit about some fun stuff and about some bullying and hazing. Be right back.
What I'm going through, standing here looking at you.
Are
Are you ready for a 6-story adrenaline rush of chilling, spine-tingling fun? Then check out Riptide at Gulfland Sunsplash, the thrill seekers raft ride everyone's talking about, along with Double Dare, Thunder Falls, and Master Blaster, Northern California's only water coaster, plus 30 rides and attractions for everyone in the family. Plan your day of fun at Gulfland.com and get your splash on. Gulfland Sunsplash in Roseville, home of the new Riptide, with free parking every day.
Since 1960, Iceberg Drive-In has been a family favorite for not only our famous thick shakes with unlimited delicious flavor combinations, but also our hand-breaded onion rings, delicious fries, and signature fry sauce. The Iceberg Shake Shop is perfect for high-traffic locations such as busy strip malls, recreational amusement centers, or near theaters. We are seeking qualified franchisees in the western United States. You'll have access to not only the popular Iceberg Drive-In name, but also our procedures, buying power, and operations. Plus, receive support dedicated to your success. For more information, email franchise@icebergdrivein.com or visit our website at icebergdrivein.com.
The following announcement brought to you by SacramentoLawyer.com. Finding the right lawyer for your particular needs can be confusing. With all the commercials and listings, and who's to say whether the lawyers there are even any good at what they do? So when you're looking for a lawyer, it makes sense to find someone local with the experience and expertise in that area of the law where you have a need. That's why there is SacramentoLawyer.com. SacramentoLawyer.com. At SacramentoLawyer.com, you just browse the site, free, and see the Facebook reviews on the firms you're considering with just a simple mouse click. That way you learn a little bit more about the lawyers there before you start making this critical decision. And there's no pressure. Use the right tool to find the lawyer that's best for you by going to SacramentoLawyer.com. SacramentoLawyer.com. That's SacramentoLawyer.com.
Are you ready for a 6-story adrenaline rush of chilling, spine-tingling fun? Then check out Riptide at Gulfland Sunsplash, the thrill seekers raft ride everyone's talking about, along with Double Dare, Thunder Falls, and Master Blaster, Northern California's only water coaster, plus 30 rides and attractions for everyone in the family. Plan your day of fun at Gulfland.com and get your splash on. Gulfland Sunsplash in Roseville, home of the new Riptide, with free parking every day.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com, also available for your ears on our website. Coincidentally, RadioLawTalk.com. We planned that. Now here's Fred.
Hey, don't forget, when you're tired of politics radio, park it here at Radio Law Talk. Remember, seek your own attorney. We're giving general advice, Todd. Every instance or every case has little nuances. You want to make sure you're with an attorney.
And who needs law school when you have radio law talk, right?
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. So we've been talking about some really interesting things, way off topic, but let's talk about Fan Duel. I mean, Chris, this is huge. What's going on with Fan Duel and I'm going to call it online, or what do you call it? Online?
The daily fantasy sports.
Daily fantasy sports.
Todd apparently has some background in this. He's
Just
won
a little
bit of money at it.
Yes, yes, I participated in daily fantasy sports for a while.
Past tense?
Yes, I don't do it anymore because honestly, and the reason why it technically passes muster as a non-gambling legal activity is they make the case that it does require some skill, and to make money it does. It requires a lot of time researching which players to play, what defenses they're going to be playing against,
are
who
they
the
healthy?
coach is, are they healthy, just a whole ball of wax. And I did that and was able to make money, but it certainly wasn't anything that I was out with a back injury, and there's no way I made as much money given the number of hours I put in to make a couple $100 that I would have made had I been able to work. Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun to research.
It's interesting, this whole notion of whether it's a game of skill. The industry got in trouble or came under scrutiny because people who work for Fan Duel were playing DraftKings and winning tons of money, and people who were working for DraftKings were playing Fan Duel and winning tons of money because, and I think that established it does take skill. There is a skill that you can acquire or learn and how to make money at these things. But and we did a whole show on that. I don't know, it's been several weeks now. But the interesting development with respect to DraftKings and FanDuel, they were going to merge and become one company, and probably the prices would have gone up a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what changes would have happened, but the Federal Trade Commission stepped in and said they actually sued DraftKings and FanDuel to stop the merger, and claiming under the Antitrust Act that the merger would have violated the antitrust laws because there would have been one company that would have controlled, they estimated, about 90% of the daily fantasy sports. And Todd was making a good point this morning that there are other daily fantasy sports out there. I didn't believe him, and he pulled it up on the website that Yahoo's in the game.
Yahoo's got one, and Yahoo's probably the biggest one because in terms of their resources, but there are other smaller guys that compete with it, with FanDuel and DraftKings. But because they were the legality of whether it's gambling was being challenged in each state, and because of the costs associated with the lawsuit, these smaller guys were more than happy to let FanDuel and DraftKings go in with their lawyers and their big bucks to fight it because, what's the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. So if something passed muster for FanDuel in terms of legality, well, then draft day was going to benefit from it too. So I don't know that they were complaining, but the FTC came in.
The FTC came in the name of the American consumer. You and I, Todd, that want to play daily fantasy sports, and you know, instead of having a $5 game, maybe it would have gone up to a $6 game or a $7 game, and the pots would have gotten a little bit smaller because they didn't need to do as much for you to attract you to come to FanDuel over DraftKings. That element of competition would have been eliminated in the mind of the Federal Trade Commission, and so they have put their foot down. The merger will not happen. So if you're listening out there and you want to play either DraftKings or FanDuel, they'll still both be available to you and competing with one another.
Hey, you want to hear something interesting? I just found online. Online's always factual.
It is, and if it's online, it's always correct.
It's gospel.
Yes, it is.
But I believe it. Let's see. FanDuel's estimated value at this time is $275 million is the value of this company. And I'm looking up DraftKings. I don't know what DraftKings is, but I know it does say FanDuel is probably the largest. But interesting, $275 million.
And they came out of nowhere. I mean, this whole thing came up basically 2010, 2011, and just killed it instantly. I mean, there was just this huge demand.
And it's the majority of the money that was paid in is paid out to the people who play. So compared to the amount of money that comes into Fan Duel on any weekend for people paying the $5 for the games, they keep a very small percentage in-house. They use most of it to pay out for the games, but still, when you have all those people paying in, you're going to make some bank as a company.
Wasn't it backed by Jerry Jones and the NFL? I mean, the Dallas Cowboys owner. He's the guy that put up with it. That's how he filled the vacuum of gambling on football that in non-legal gambling states. Right?
He was a big supporter of DraftKings,
right.
And I know that the Sacramento Kings were as well. You used to see the DraftKings logo on the backs of all of the chairs where the players sat on the bench.
That's right.
And they were really big. But I think, didn't you say, Chris, that one of the reasons they were talking about merging was to consolidate not only the amount they were paying on legal bills, but the amount that they were paying to fight each other in advertising?
That's exactly right. So they were spending tons of money, and still are to this day. If you're DraftKings, you want the daily fantasy sports player to come and play on your site, and you've got to get your name out there. And so they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to advertise their own sites. If they combined forces, they wouldn't have to do that. They could spend that money elsewhere. So, and I'm sure that's the argument that they made to the FTC is this is going to be good for the consumer. The pots will actually get bigger. So when you risk $5 on a daily fantasy sports game instead of having a potential pot of $300,000, maybe now the potential pot is $350,000 because of the efficiency that we're going to gain, not having to pay for advertising. But clearly that did not pass muster with the Federal Trade Commission. So
good. So, I've always wanted to say this on radio, but I'm going to say it in a second here. Do you remember on TV back in the days? Probably the two of you don't remember. I remember Cal will. And before they did a commercial all the time, they always say, hang on, don't turn that dial. So I'm going to say, hang on, don't turn that dial. We'll be back after these messages from our great sponsors. We'll talk more about Fan Duel, DraftKings, Hazing. Talk to you in a few.
This is Denise Sturks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of
Since 1960, Iceberg Drive-In has been a family favorite for not only our famous thick shakes with unlimited delicious flavor combinations, but also our hand-breaded onion rings, delicious fries, and signature fry sauce. The Iceberg Shake Shop is perfect for high-traffic locations such as busy strip malls, recreational amusement centers, or near theaters. We are seeking qualified franchisees in the western United States. You'll have access to not only the popular Iceberg Drive-In name, but also our procedures, buying power, and operations. Plus, receive support dedicated to your success. For more information, email franchise@icebergdrivein.com or visit our website at icebergdrivein.com.
Are you ready for a 6-story adrenaline rush of chilling, spine-tingling fun? Then check out Riptide at Golfland Sunsplash, the thrill seekers raft ride everyone's talking about, along with Double Dare, Thunder Falls, and Master Blaster, Northern California's only water coaster, plus 30 rides and attractions for everyone in the family. Plan your day of fun at Golfland.com and get your splash on. Golfland Sunsplash in Roseville, home of the new Riptide, with free parking every day.
We're in the studio with Fred Penny, managing attorney with Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers. Fred, tell us what makes you the number one choice for handling personal injury cases.
Most of our firm is made up of former insurance company trial lawyers with extensive experience handling all types of personal injury matters. We believe that gives us a distinct advantage.
That's Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers, with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennyandassociates.com or call 1-800-616-4-LAW. That's 1-800-616-4-LAW.
ready for a six-story
Now it's time to
adrenaline
play
rush of
Case.
chilling?
Now it's time to play Case or No Case.
This went so well in rehearsal. Welcome back to Radio Law Talk. Fred, case or no case? Do you want to hear the setup, or how do you want to do this?
Sure. Cal came in here, and he's got this new little blurb, and it says case or no case. He goes, I wanted to throw a case or no case at the three of us. Boy, I wish Denise was here to help us out.
I'll do it.
Now it's time to play Case
There we
or
go.
No Case.
All right, go for it.
A monkey sits in a cage, happens to figure out how to take a picture of itself. The monkey happens to figure out how to take a picture of itself.
Okay.
The monkey takes a picture of itself. A wildlife photographer gets the picture and puts it in a book. And People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals claims that the monkey has a copyright claim to the selfie. Case or no case? Give me a
C-Rod. Well, let's start with Harvard.
I'm not okay.
Harvard knows that stuff.
I believe there's no case for the monkey.
Okay.
Because in order to show up in court, you need to wear a suit. And I don't think they make suits that small.
You've never heard the expression monkey suit?
Monkey? Well, that's right. Actually, I believe the court has ruled, right?
There's I read this a little bit earlier, but go ahead.
No case for the monkey.
Well, the lower court has ruled no case for the monkey, but now it's at the Ninth Circuit.
Well, the Ninth Circuit.
So who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? It's the Ninth Circuit.
The Ninth Circuit may have to recuse themselves because they're related to the monkey. And I didn't say that.
Todd.
Good
that
thing
was
I
Todd
don't.
Kunin. Todd
Good
Kunin,
thing
by
I
the
don't
way.
practice in front of the Ninth Circuit. I'm going to say no case as well, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, when corporations first came around, this is going to be a long-winded one here.
Ooh, here we go.
When corporations first came around,
We'll just end the segment with this.
they had to prove that they had standing to sue and stuff, so corporations were deemed a person for purposes of suing. But my question is this: if a monkey has standing to sue, they have to show that they are a person similar, that they are an entity that is forced to sue. And if they prove that, then what happens to all the monkeys in the zoos who engage in mating activity in open public? If they have standing to sue here, then those monkeys should be prosecuted for indecent exposure.
And sued civilly.
And sued civilly for the trauma that they enforce on little kids. And when they throw their feces at them, they should be prosecuted for gassing and assault and battery, for hazing the folks that come to the zoo and bullying. I say if they want to be able to maintain those protections, they can't sue for copyright infringement. And that's my story, and I'm sticking by it.
So, Fred, as the lawyer said in court, monkey see, monkey sue?
Well, here's the interesting thing, though. Listen, here's the issue. Let's break it down. What was the injury to the monkey? And by the way, I think his name is Naruto. What is it, Cal? Naruto? Yeah. What was his injury? He has to show an injury. Do you guys know? What would be his injury?
His injury would be that this magazine is capitalizing on the photo that he worked so hard to take.
And you argue, let's jump on the PETA side. What they're arguing is, okay, the monkey should get paid the money, and therefore he can have a nice life. He can be jet-setted around.
Maybe buy a house that would allow him to engage in the mating activities, not in front of people at the zoo.
I think we have some mating issues here with Todd.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
3 or 4 times he's discussed that issue.
But my question is, the monkey's name is Naruto?
Naruto.
Naruto.
Naruto. Naruto.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Naruto is also a well-known Japanese character in anime. Very popular. So the monkey, if he can sue for copyright, is going to face a lawsuit for trademark infringement because he's using that name. There's going to be trouble here. He may want to just duck and cover.
What if Naruto wanted to just go to court and change his name? I mean, isn't the answer to this case, if the monkey can walk in and file the paperwork, he's got the rights. Otherwise, have a nice monkey life. I mean, isn't that the real answer?
Here's the issue, too. There's a lot of issues. What about the loss to the animal's reputation or evidence? Because in copyright, you got to see whether or not there's been a loss of reputation or if they're using their name to profit. What's going on there? This guy's obviously, the photographer's name is David Slater, I believe, and he's obviously using this monkey's persona to make money, which he actually is.
There's no question about that, and I think what PETA wants to do is capitalize, use the money to improve the habitat for this particular monkey, which I think is located in Indonesia.
Right.
So that is the ultimate goal of PETA, but I think as we all agree here, and as the Ninth Circuit is very likely to agree, PETA has no case. All they have done is create publicity for themselves by bringing this lawsuit and getting us all to talk about it here on our incredibly popular radio law talk show.
I want to see the agreement for representation between the monkey and PETA to show that they went over all things like conflict of interest, how they're being compensated. Is somebody other than the monkey paying the bill to PETA for representation? Because that raises a whole separate conflict of interest, and they have to show that the monkey knowingly and willfully waived his conflict.
Here's the issue. You know as well as I do, when you got a trial coming forward or a case coming forward, what happens if your client doesn't show up to court?
It appears that your client is not interested in the outcome.
The client usually has to show up to court so the defense, or because I'm on the plaintiff side, can cross-examine them.
That's right.
And I'm talking about the civil side.
Civil side, because in the criminal side, they have an absolute right. A defendant has an absolute right.
This is a civil action.
But
this is a civil action.
One of the very interesting and little-known fact, San Francisco is one of the few jurisdictions that can translate from English to Naruto.
Really?
Absolutely. So most, if you're in Jackson County, South Dakota, you're not going to get a translator to be able to translate from human to monkey, but San Francisco actually can do that.
So predict.
Monkey did not show up to court. No. The prediction is, I'm all for the monkey. But now that he didn't appear in court, no. Because if my client never appears in court, you lose the case. Lose the case, you didn't appear in court.
Chris.
No case.
I say no case.
That's my view too. But Denise is on the telephone with us.
Let's see what she says.
Denise,
go ahead.
Case or no case on the monkey deal?
I think the monkey doesn't qualify as an individual.
Oh, that's so serious.
Thank you, Denise. Hey, Denise, how is it up on your roof?
Hey, it's really, really, really cool here.
A lot of binocular people around, or what?
We're sending Seth out with the binoculars right now.
So where are we? You don't have to tell us exactly, but are you where it's sunny or is it cloudy?
It's sunny, blue skies, warm, humid, lots of sun.
Way to throw the word humid in there so that we have some sort of sympathy for you.
I almost went,
oh, humid.
You know what's interesting? Hear me out on this. The three of us are sitting here, Todd and Chris and I, and so far it's gone south, but not all the way to the bottom, the show, without you, Denise.
Well, let me tell you something. I wanted to give you some idea about what I've been doing.
Okay. Is it, wait a minute, is it legal?
Slim's.
Is it legal to talk about it over the air?
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
I'll represent you.
I'll be very general.
Okay, go.
So we went to a place called Slim's Elbow Room.
Slim's Elbow Room.
Very small.
Is this in Fresno?
So,
are you in Fresno?
No.
Tookie-Doo, South Carolina?
No, and I sent Beth some pictures so he can share with you.
I saw money.
No, bunny. There's money.
Denise, to keep this on topic, if you went to the zoo and you happened to see a monkey with no clothes on, would you feel like you should be able to bring a claim against that monkey for indecent exposure? That's Todd's question.
No.
There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
If you can't sue for that, then they can't sue for copyright.
I think that's a brilliant argument. I think it's a brilliant argument.
Well, I think Todd now has learned that he's going to drop his practice as a defense lawyer for criminal law, and he's going to go into monkey law.
There are many who would argue that I already do that. So,
go ahead, Denise. We're cutting you off. So you're playing around and you're doing something interesting. We've got 1 minute.
Okay. Well, I had a question for you. If a monkey tears in half a dollar bill, has he committed a crime under 18 U.S.C. 333?
What the heck is 18 U.S.C. 333?
The defacing money statute.
Oh, I should have known that.
Yes, it is.
I don't know. Tell us. You know, the sun's getting to your head right now, but go ahead. We have 30 seconds.
Case or no case?
Well, when he tears it in half, if he actually tears the face off of the piece of currency, then it would be literal defacing.
Well, Denise, we love you. We miss you. We've got 15 seconds left. We're going to go out saying enjoy. Think of us three boys here causing problems. We'll be right back with Radio Law Talk.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com.
The following announcement brought to you by SacramentoLawyer.com. Finding the right lawyer for your particular needs can be confusing. With all the commercials and listings, and who's to say whether the lawyers there are even any good at what they do? So when you're looking for a lawyer, it makes sense to find someone local with the experience and expertise in that area of the law where you have a need. That's why there is SacramentoLawyer.com. SacramentoLawyer.com. At SacramentoLawyer.com, you just browse the site, free, and see the Facebook reviews on the firms you're considering with just a simple mouse click. That way you learn a little bit more about the lawyers there before you start making this critical decision. And there's no pressure. Use the right tool to find the lawyer that's best for you by going to SacramentoLawyer.com. SacramentoLawyer.com. That's SacramentoLawyer.com.
Are you ready for a 6-story adrenaline rush of chilling, spine-tingling fun? Then check out Riptide at Gulfland Sunsplash, the thrill-seekers raft ride everyone's talking about, along with Double Dare, Thunder Falls, and Master Blaster, Northern California's only water coaster, plus 30 rides and attractions for everyone in the family. Plan your day of fun at Gulfland.com and get your splash on. Gulfland Sunsplash in Roseville, home of the new Riptide, with free parking every day.
Since 1960, Iceberg Drive-In has been a family favorite for not only our famous thick shakes with unlimited delicious flavor combinations, but also our hand-breaded onion rings, delicious fries, and signature fry sauce. The Iceberg Shake Shop is perfect for high-traffic locations such as busy strip malls, recreational amusement centers, or near theaters. We are seeking qualified franchisees in the western United States. You'll have access to not only the popular Iceberg Drive-In name, but also our procedures, buying power, and operations. Plus, receive support dedicated to your success. For more information, email franchise@icebergdrivein.com or visit our website at icebergdrivein.com.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com.
Oh, I wish our camera on YouTube, you can go to YouTube and watch this. If you could watch Cal right now, I wish those guys would take a picture of Cal dancing.
Cal was actually doing the Roger Rabbit.
That was amazing.
That was the Roger Rabbit.
To the brass monkey?
Wow.
Yeah.
A guy of his age should not be dancing like that.
That was pretty sweet.
A lot of things move on his body that shouldn't be moving.
Yeah, that would be the brass replacement hip. That funky replacement hip.
That's
Not
exactly
yet.
right.
Not yet, but if I do that again, I'll need one.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk about hazing and bullying. This is kind of a little bit serious. We got to get a touch serious. A Penn State student, Timothy Piazza, died after what they're looking at, whether or not it's a hazing or a bullying issue in Pennsylvania, when Beta Theta Pi fraternity had what's called the gauntlet. Now, I was never in a fraternity, but I know Rodriguez to the right was, and he'll talk in detail about his fraternity days. But apparently the gauntlet is a ritual where it's basically an obstacle course. I'm getting it general, where there's drinking involved in every obstacle, and you have to hit through these certain obstacles, grab a drink, and go as quick as you can, and blah, blah, blah. So what happens is he goes around and does this, and he's so hammered drunk, he's literally like just falling over. And but you have to kind of go through this in order to join this fraternity. And what happens is some of the fraternity brothers are not quite sure what to do. They, he's kind of bopping around, and they actually kick him out of the room, say, "Get out of here." He falls down the stairs, and the ambulance doesn't come for like 11 hours or 12 hours, and there's actual video in the house that shows them like trying to wake him up and pour stuff on him like water, and they just leave him there. So the issue comes down to, are these fraternity brothers liable for hazing and bullying, and the definition of the two, and how it differs. So here's a couple of interesting facts I want to bring up. The first thing is, I would ask you to guess, but I mentioned it right before this, but they spent $2,000 for worth of alcohol that night. But again, Chris brought up, well, how many guys were there? So I don't know, but $2,000 seems like a lot of money, but $2,000 worth of alcohol is quite a bit of alcohol. When they finally got him to the hospital, they check in, they do not necessarily an autopsy, but they're working on him, and they find approximately 4 liters of old blood, dark blood, in his cavity of his body. That's about 80% of a person's total body blood supply.
So he was bleeding out internally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fred, you are acting like the classic prosecutor.
Right.
I don't think you have a case here. I know we're not playing case or no case, but we do. But you are focusing on the dramatic facts: the $2,000 worth of alcohol and the 4 pints of blood in the stomach. Right. But under Pennsylvania law,
right,
he has to have been forced to do this if it's going to be illegal. At least that's the way I read the law. And Todd, you may have a different take. In California, it would be different, because all that's required in California under the hazing law is that it be part of a rite of initiation into some sort of a school-related club or body. Then they might have a case against these guys. But if it's just a bunch of guys who decided to play this game, didn't force this Piazza guy to drink the alcohol, he obviously did it because, I think he did it because it was fun and he wanted to go have fun with his buddies. Under Pennsylvania law, I don't think, regardless of how scintillating the facts might be about how much blood was in his stomach or how long it took before the ambulance came, I don't think there's a case. Todd?
Well, under the Pennsylvania statutes 5253, they do define hazing. And they talk about it being a reckless or intentional activity that endangers the mental or physical health or the safety of the student. I don't think there's no question that his physical, he's dead.
Right.
So there's no question that that they engaged in activity, or that somebody engaged in activity that was reckless there. But the question here is, again, was he forced? And in Pennsylvania, the activities include but are not limited to brutality of a physical nature, whipping, beating, branding, forced calisthenics, exposure to elements.
Sounds like my situation at home, my wife.
Yes. Forced.
How do you think you lost all that weight?
That's exactly right.
Forced consumption, or in Fred's case, non-consumption of any food, liquor, drug, or any other substance. And so the argument here would be in favor of prosecution. And Chris, I'm just throwing this out there because I agree with you. I think prosecutors often get so caught up in the effects and the emotion of it that they try to pigeonhole a case into prosecuting, and really you need to look at the elements first. But the question here is, did these frat brothers create a situation whereby, because of the social activities and knowing that this guy wanted to get in and the pressure that existed, was this deemed to be a forced activity?
Okay, then there's the other issue is, let's assume no. The second issue that they're talking about kicking in here is, what did they do after the fact? I mean, what happens here is this person is in trouble. Now, their argument defense is, well, we didn't know he was in trouble. We just thought he was hammered drunk, laying there, and just passed out like probably half the frat brothers were.
Well, here's one thing that I want to point out on the issue of forced.
Right.
In the definition, it has this language. For purposes of this definition, any activity as described in this definition upon which the initiation or admission into or affiliation with or continued membership in an organization is directly or indirectly conditioned shall be presumed to be forced activity. And the willingness of an individual to participate in such an activity notwithstanding.
Bam.
So if it's a condition of getting in, it's presumed to be forced in Pennsylvania.
Interesting.
So I guess the question is then, did they say you have to do this gauntlet in order to get into the fraternity?
Well, and as Fred was talking about, he said that when he was having trouble, they kicked him out.
Mm-hmm. Kick him out of the room.
But is this enough? Because even under what you just read, Todd, and that is a really strong argument. But is it enough to force him to play the gauntlet game? Or do they have to actually force him, no, you need to continue drinking? Because clearly there were probably 30 or 40 guys who went through the same game that didn't end up dead or with a blood alcohol content of 0.4.
Let me jump on your side, too, on the side of the defense for the fraternity brothers. There was a security company hired by Penn State's Internal Fraternity Council that visited the party just before Piazza fell down the stairs, and the security company could not find anything wrong with what was going on. So how is it that these fraternity brothers are going to be found liable when it comes down to, hey, we even had a company come and analyze it and said it was okay?
Well, I think the argument against
that security company is getting sued civilly, by the way.
Yeah. Well, there's two things in response to that. First, there's what I call the OSHA defense, which is if Cal OSHA comes out and looks at your employment place and they say that you have a clean bill of health in the employment, in that same clean bill of health, they say, but this cannot be used as a defense if there's a subsequent OSHA violation.
Right.
And so the argument here would be, well, that might have been what happened when they came out, but what took place after they left? Because, there's a bunch of drunk frat guys going, okay, Bill, you're doing pre-law, so you talk to the guys there, and we're going to keep Rusty in the back drunk. Don't let him in that back room.
Stop talking about C-Rod over here,
Yeah.
Chris Rodriguez. Hey, really quick, this is very important stuff for us to discuss, but more important than that is, what is the definition of hazing and bullying?
And how does it apply to us?
And I think how it applies to us is, I think Chris brought up the best and most important hazing issue or bullying was what?
Well, I was going to say that the music that Cal forces us to listen to in and out of segments is either hazing or bullying. I'm not sure which. But then he played Brass Monkey, and so I can't really say anything about it.
No, I think it's all hazing because of that old 70s music. That's purely hazing. And I think hazing is my children. When I get older and older, they start laughing at me at things I do. That's hazing.
Well, my children are going to argue under the definition that says it's recklessly or intentionally endangering the mental health of safety of a person. My kids are going to argue that my bad dad jokes are clearly hazing, especially when I do it when their friends are over.
Todd, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cal.
Aging is God's way of hazing mankind. That's all I have to
exactly
say.
Right. There, and what else? What else is a hazing or bullying in our life?
What about when your wife makes you wear that romper that she just bought you at Nordstrom to the party that you've been invited to with all of your buddies?
That's it. I think we should end on that one.
If that's true, call Denise Dirks and look into your divorce rights immediately.
See you next week on Radio Law Talk, where you'll learn about all kinds of hazing that we deal with.
Thank you for listening to RadioLawTalk.com.
You have been listening to RadioLawTalk.com, a copyrighted presentation of Radio Law Talk Incorporated.